Bet you didn't see this.
So I got a whole bunch of men trying to muscle me into voting for the NDAA. Section
Names. Who?
I
Who
don't
are
know
these
their,
men?
I don't know their freaking names. They're staffers.
They staff.
All right, listen to my story. If you want my story, I'm
Sorry,
gonna give it to you.
sorry.
All right. So all these staffers are in there trying to get me to vote for the NDAA. I want to vote for the NDAA. Section 219 is still in there. It's a big tech swap between us and Israel. We don't do that with anyone. I understand in the past, we've given them money for the Iron Dome, and then they get to keep the tech and we don't get any of it back. So I understand that, but it's a big issue on the left and the right. And many of my constituents have reached out. They don't want this provision in the bill. Well, the White House doesn't want it in the bill. Secretary Hegseth doesn't want it in the bill. So I'm in the back waiting for a call from the secretary. I'm told that call is coming. I'm talking to someone underneath him, and I'm told the vote's going to stay open. They closed the vote. And so now I am forced to talk to TMZ.
So in case you weren't aware, the National Defense Authorization Act was passed, including the U.S.-Israel Initiative, Section 219, which makes it so that we are now not merged, but integrated completely with the Israeli military and with Israel in general. We are now sharing all of our most valuable secrets. We are sharing our technology. We're integrated. That's the terminology used. We are integrated with the Israeli military. That's what just happened. And by the way, every single Republican -7 voted for it. Once again, two wings, same bird. Bird is Israel, whether you want to believe it or not. But anyway, going back to that video you just watched, like, it's actually so crazy. I had to watch this a couple times just to make sure that I actually heard her right. But what she is saying is that allegedly the White House, Pete Hegseth, they don't want Section 219 in this bill. And yet it just got pushed through the House, and she was being pushed to vote for it by a bunch of staffers. And then she was forced to report this to TMZ. Like, what? So let's dig into this a little bit, though, because there's a lot of things you guys need to understand as to why this bill is so absolutely insane, and anyone who voted for it are traitors. So one of the craziest things about this bill is the part that talks about the executive DoD dedicated agent, which basically this agent, whoever it ends up being, is going to have precedence in the Pentagon. Okay, I'm serious. Like, this is actually real. Read this with me. Section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2027 stands out because it establishes a dedicated Pentagon executive agent with special authority to fast-track Israeli defense technology into U.S. military systems. This official coordinates joint work and can bypass standard review hurdles from other defense offices. Key powers and scope. Executive authority. Designated by the Secretary of Defense under DoD Directive 510101, giving this role precedence to push tech integration and potentially override slower bureaucratic agencies like the Defense Technology Security Administration. Advanced domains. Focuses on high-tech fields including artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, biotechnology, directed energy, quantum computing, and counter-drone systems. Directs joint manufacturing, supply chain merging, and direct path from research into formal procurement programs of record. What this creates is basically an agent, someone whose entire purpose and entire responsibility is to fast track, not only fast track, but mandate the embedding of their technology into our defense systems. And while this does exist with other countries that we're allies with or whatever, there's nothing like this. There is no situation where there is one person who is designated to take precedence and to fast track the integration of technology from that foreign country into our defense systems and basically override everything else. Absolutely insane. And by the way, this idea was literally Benjamin Netanyahu's idea. And by the way, I'm not just saying that it was his idea. This isn't just hearsay. Benjamin Netanyahu literally wrote a letter to a member of Congress saying, "This is my plan." Supposedly, the White House and Pete Hegseth didn't want it in the bill, but it still got passed. So basically, the leader of a foreign nation is telling our Congress how to write our laws. And by the way, I just want to point something out. Literally no one in this country wants this, except for those that are super, super tied to this Zionist Israel cause. The ones that are being funded by the lobbies or the lobbies themselves, the politicians that are being funded by them. Literally, the majority of the actual citizens of our country, of the United States of America, want nothing to do with this country for 1,000,001 reasons, but also, the most recent reason, the fact that we don't want to be dragged into another massive war with Iran, which is already happening. Like, the majority of this country on both sides, both right and left, want nothing to do with Israel. And yet what you are watching is you are watching our elected officials act on behalf of the interests of a foreign nation above the interests of their own nation. That's what you're watching. That's what is happening. And by the way, it's not just about Israel. This could be any other country, and it would be the same thing, because our elected officials should not be acting in the interest of another country. They should be acting in the interest of ours, and they should be doing what we, the people, are telling them that we want them to do. They are supposed to be public servants. But see, these people are no longer public servants, and they haven't been for a very long time, and they do not care about you or me or our interests as Americans.
Are you a Congress member? The reason you can't talk?
Yeah, I got something going on.
What's going on? You have no headphones in, sir.
I got somebody on my phone.
I think headphones. There's no headphones, so what do you got now?
Chill. Yeah.
But let me tell you even more why we should not be okay with this, and why every single one of you should be absolutely furious that we are going to integrate with this military, with the IDF, okay? The IDF literally kill their own people. And we know that this is true, because we now have the smoking gun that the Hannibal Directive was real. The thing that was a conspiracy theory, it's real. It's been proven to be real. And for those of you that don't know what the Hannibal Directive is, it's their policy that basically they are going to kill their own soldiers, their own people, to prevent them from being taken as hostages.
See
the captions, but basically what these guys are saying is they are literally saying that they should just bomb the entire area and even take out the soldiers that were abducted, aka the hostages. So I want you to go back now and think about everything that happened that justified them turning Gaza into a parking lot. It was all about the hostages, right? The people that were abducted were the hostages, but they were literally okay with killing their own people to prevent them from becoming hostages. So did they actually care about the hostages? Obviously not. We all knew this, but for the people that are still thinking that the hostages mattered, they didn't. And why did they do this? Really simple. Their biggest concern is the fact that their enemies might have any kind of leverage over them. So that's why the Hannibal Directive exists. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. If they understand the importance and the danger of leverage, don't you think they would also be experts in using leverage? Let's just put this in perspective now, okay? We are going to integrate our militaries together. With the same military that's guilty of all these crimes. And the same military that is hated by virtually everyone on the planet. And we are not only going to do that, but we are also going to allow them to have full integration with our AI systems, cybersecurity, directed energy, all these different things, right? What do you think happens when they have complete access and complete authorization with our AI technology? What do you think happens when they're able to use that as a weapon against us? They already have started to do that, but what do you think happens when it's a literal guaranteed weapon that they can use against us, Americans? So anybody that speaks out against the IDF or against Israel or against any of these things that are happening, what do you think they would do to us if they're willing to do that to their own people? And once again, why is this all happening? Could it have something maybe to do with the fact that they have leverage over these politicians, leverage over our government, leverage over our administration, leverage over us as we've been saying for a very long time? And could it possibly be attached to Epstein and the greatest, most expansive blackmail sex trafficking operation in human history that was clearly tied to the intelligence agencies, including Mossad, and has been proven without a shadow of a doubt many, many, many times, and is obviously something that they don't want to come to light, and is also obviously something that is used as leverage over and over and over and over, because it just happens to be that we continue to get into military conflicts right around the same time that these big Epstein drops come out, even though they're all completely redacted? Could it be that? And then I want you to go back and watch that first video again of Lauren Boebert and her saying that it was staffers that were trying to push her to vote for this.
I got a whole bunch of men trying to muscle me into voting for the NDAA. Section.
Names. Who?
I
Who are
don't know
these
their,
men?
I don't know their freaking names. They're staffers.
They staff.
Yeah, those staffers sound a lot more like handlers. But hey, I'm just a conspiracy theorist.